For months, Ukraine had been calling for stronger support, for more advanced weaponry, and for bold decisions that could actually turn the tide of the war. Many European nations expressed sympathy, but few were ready to take the kind of decisive step that France just took. What President Emmanuel Macron announced has left even NATO leaders surprised, and Moscow absolutely furious. The French government has decided to supply Ukraine with a new wave of high-end military assistance that includes long-range missiles, advanced air defense systems, and even talks about sending military trainers directly into Ukrainian territory. This announcement comes after a long period of hesitation from many Western capitals. France has often played the role of mediator, trying to keep diplomatic channels open with Russia while still supporting Ukraine. But that balancing act seems to be over. Macron has declared that the time for hesitation is gone. He said that Europe must not be afraid of Russia's threats, and that defending Ukraine is defending European freedom itself. His words have resonated deeply across the continent, signaling a France that is now ready to take leadership in Europe's military support for Kyiv. Ukraine's reaction was emotional and immediate. President Volodymyr Zelensky personally thanked Macron, calling France's decision a moment of true courage. Ukrainian officials said that this step will save countless lives and will send a clear message to Moscow that Europe's resolve is unshakable. For months, Kyiv had been pleading for long-range weapons to hit Russian supply lines, command centers, and ammunition depots deep behind the front lines. Now, France's delivery of Skal-PG cruise missiles capable of reaching targets over 250 kilometers away could be a game-changer on the battlefield. The French government is not stopping there. Reports suggest that Paris is also coordinating with other European countries to send additional batches of ammunition, drones, and armored vehicles. What's even more surprising is that France is reportedly considering allowing Ukrainian pilots to train on French soil for potential use of fighter jets in the future. This development could mark the beginning of an even deeper military partnership between France and Ukraine, something that would have been unthinkable just a year ago. Russia, on the other hand, has reacted with predictable anger. The Kremlin accused France of pouring gasoline on the fire and warned that such moves could lead to unpredictable consequences. Russian state media has been running segments attacking Macron personally, accusing him of trying to gain political points domestically by fueling the war. But analysts believe this isn't just about politics. It's about France recognizing that this conflict will determine the future of European security for generations to come. If Russia wins, it sets a precedent that borders in Europe can once again be changed by force. Behind the scenes, intelligence sources indicate that France's decision wasn't made overnight. It came after weeks of internal debate within Macron's cabinet and growing frustration with Russia's continued attacks on civilian targets in Ukraine. The images of destroyed schools, hospitals, and power plants deeply affected public opinion in France. Polls show that the majority of the French population now supports stronger action to help Ukraine. This gave Macron the political room he needed to move decisively and push France into a new leadership role within NATO's European wing. The timing of this move is also crucial. With winter approaching, Ukraine needs to protect its cities and infrastructure from another wave of Russian missile attacks. France's air defense systems, especially the SAMP/T Mamba, are designed to intercept those kinds of threats. By sending these systems, Paris is effectively helping Ukraine prepare for the cold months when Russia usually intensifies its bombardments. French engineers and defense specialists have reportedly been working closely with their Ukrainian counterparts to make sure the systems are installed and operated efficiently. Another key aspect of this development is how it affects relations between France and the United States. For a long time, Washington has been leading the Western effort to arm Ukraine, but France's recent decision shows that Europe is now ready to take more responsibility for its own defense. This aligns with Macron's long-term vision of European strategic autonomy, meaning Europe should not always depend on America for its security. Some analysts say this move strengthens NATO overall, because it shows that European powers can take initiative instead of waiting for Washington to act first. Ukraine's allies are now watching closely to see how Russia responds. Will Moscow escalate, or will it finally realize that Europe is more united than ever? So far, Russia has tried to intimidate France by conducting large-scale military exercises near NATO borders and issuing threats about nuclear escalation. But Macron seems unfazed. In his recent speech, he stated firmly that France will not be intimidated by nuclear blackmail, and that Ukraine must win, not just survive. These strong words have made him a target of Russian propaganda, but they've also made him a hero in Kiev and across Eastern Europe. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces have already started using some of the French-provided missiles with devastating precision. According to military reports, several Russian ammunition depots and command posts have been hit deep inside occupied territory. These strikes are believed to have disrupted Russia's logistics and forced them to move their supply hubs further back from the front. This creates additional pressure on Russian troops, who are already struggling with morale, shortages, and increasing desertions. The Ukrainian military credits France's decision as one of the factors helping to shift momentum on key battlefronts. But this development is not just about military aid. France is also stepping up its humanitarian and reconstruction efforts. French companies are now working on projects to help rebuild damaged infrastructure, schools, and hospitals in Ukrainian cities. Macron has pledged that France will stand with Ukraine not only during the war, but also after victory, helping the country rebuild into a modern, resilient democracy. This holistic approach, combining military, economic, and humanitarian support, is being hailed as the new model for European engagement in Ukraine. There's also a political message in France's move. Macron has faced criticism from both ends of the political spectrum at home. Some on the far left accuse him of escalating the conflict, while others on the right say he acted too late. But by taking this bold step, Macron has positioned himself as a decisive European leader, someone willing to stand up to Putin when others hesitate. His leadership may inspire other European countries like Germany, Italy, and Spain to increase their own support for Kiev. Already, there are reports of new joint defense initiatives being discussed within the EU. On the battlefield, the psychological impact of France's support cannot be overstated. Ukrainian soldiers see it as a powerful sign that the world has not forgotten them. Every new shipment of weapons, every public declaration of solidarity boosts morale and strengthens the will to fight. On the Russian side, it's another reminder that isolation is growing. With sanctions tightening and the front lines becoming more dangerous, many Russian troops are questioning the purpose of their mission. France's involvement adds another layer of international legitimacy to Ukraine's resistance and another headache for the Kremlin. In global terms, France's decision also has ripple effects beyond Europe. Countries like China, India, and Iran are watching closely to see how unified the West remains. If they perceive that Europe is serious and determined, it may deter further aggression in other parts of the world. Macron's statement that Ukraine's fight is our fight has already been quoted widely, and it sends a message that authoritarian powers cannot act with impunity. For the European Union, this could be the moment that defines its geopolitical identity in the 21st century. The military factories in France are now running at full capacity to meet Ukraine's urgent needs. Workers in defense plants producing artillery shells, drones, and missile components say they feel proud to contribute to something that matters on a global scale. The French public has rallied behind this effort with fundraisers, charity drives, and messages of solidarity flooding social media. The sense of unity is growing stronger, not just in France but across much of Europe. It's as if the continent has finally understood that Ukraine's struggle is a defense of shared democratic values. There's also speculation that France's move may push other European countries to send long-delayed weapon systems. For instance, Germany has been under pressure to send Taurus cruise missiles, while Italy and Spain are discussing increased ammunition supplies. If this trend continues, the combined European firepower could give Ukraine the edge it needs to reclaim more occupied territory before the next round of peace talks. Analysts predict that by next spring, Ukraine could be in a much stronger negotiating position thanks to this new wave of European support. Ukraine, in the meantime, is making sure that every French weapon is used effectively. Military engineers are adapting and integrating French systems into their existing arsenal with impressive speed. French instructors have reportedly been assisting remotely through secure communication channels, offering technical support and tactical advice. This kind of cooperation builds long-term bonds between the two countries, setting the foundation for a strategic alliance that could last well beyond the war. Russia's frustration with France's decision has also led to diplomatic tension. Moscow has summoned the French ambassador, threatened to cut economic ties, and even hinted at cyber attacks on French infrastructure. But these threats are unlikely to scare France. Macron's administration has already boosted cybersecurity measures and coordinated with EU partners to prepare for any possible retaliation. The French public, too, seems largely undeterred. Most citizens view Russia's threats as proof that France is doing the right thing. As the days go by, the results of France's decision are becoming visible on the ground. Ukrainian strikes are becoming more accurate, more coordinated, and more strategic. The front lines are slowly shifting, and reports suggest that Russian forces are retreating from several key positions. While it's still too early to call it a turning point, many analysts believe France's support could indeed become the factor that changes the war's direction. In the bigger picture, France's bold action shows that the Western alliance is evolving. It's no longer just about the United States leading and others following. Now, European nations like France are taking ownership of their security and standing together to defend the principles of sovereignty and freedom. For Ukraine, it's a moment of hope and renewed strength. For France, it's a statement of leadership and courage. And for Russia, it's yet another sign that the world is standing firm against its aggression. This is why Ukraine can't believe what France just did. It's more than military aid. It's a declaration that Ukraine is not alone. It's proof that courage still exists in world politics, and that even in times of great danger, there are nations willing to stand up for what's right. France's move may very well be remembered as the moment Europe found its voice, and Ukraine found another powerful ally on its road to victory and freedom. If you want, I can now generate the 10 realistic image prompts, YouTube titles, description with hashtags, and professional thumbnail prompt based on this script. Would you like me to do that next?